All right, folks, this is OAC Podcast 13 with special guests from Lancaster Archery Academy and head coach Heather File. Hey, Heather. Welcome to the OAC Podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy you're here. This is kind of an exciting topic for me. So everybody, we got Heather File here. She is a friend of mine that over the last year we've kind of gotten to know each other. Heather's as I had said in the intro, she's the head coach at Lancaster Archery Academy. She's the head coach for their JOAD team and their Scholastic 3D Archery team. JOAD being Junior Olympic Archery Development, and S3DA being one of the programs that I am heavily involved in. But, you know, Heather and I have talked kind of just sidebar and through, Messenger about some coaching stuff. And I just said to her, I was like, hey, I would really like to do a podcast with you because there's a lot of things that coaches see or opinions we have or, directions we can give to either potential parents, new archers, that would help them along the way. So, hence why we're here. Heather, can you please just, for the people who are going to listen to this, I'm sure a lot of my parents from my archery team as well as yours will end up hearing this. So just give a brief background. I know your background, just your archery career background and how you ended up at Lancaster Archery Academy.
Yeah, so I have been shooting for over 20 years. I'm actually from Buffalo, New York, and how I got started was just like so many other kids that we see come through the JOAD programs and come through the door is when I was very little. My dad went to get his bow tuned up for before deer season, and it was probably sometime in August, and we walked through these doors to a pro shop in Buffalo, and I remember walking down these grand stairs because the old shop used to be a bowling alley, and I went downstairs, and there was this kids program, and everyone was shooting bows and having fun, and I nagged my dad for 2 weeks to take me back. At that point, he knew I was really interested, so we went, we got lessons, and, we got even more involved. I got my own bow. I started on Olympic recurve. Got really competitive really quickly. Like, I would just wanted to be, at the top of the program, and I just wanted to be more competitive. So we started doing tournaments, and, then I progressed and got a little bit nicer, better equipment that I could grow into. And from there, my parents ended up coaching in the program, and my sisters got involved, and I ended up going and training for the Olympics for a short time at the Olympic Training Center, and that was, a world of experience that I could never get again. And at that point, at the age of 18, I was kind of left with the decision of whether or not I wanted to continue and stay at the Olympic Training Center or go to college, and that was very important to me. So I left, went to college, and unfortunately my coach had passed away, so I needed a change, and I decided, hey, let's do compound. And I became a competitive compound archer and continued coaching. I'd always found myself, even, at the age of 12, helping out little kids, to the point where I was then helping other people that I was shooting with, just for somebody to shoot with. I would be giving them suggestions for improvement, and I naturally found myself always coaching. So after college, I just kind of went on a whim, and somebody recommended that, hey, Lancaster Archery was hiring, and I thought there was no chance ever, because I was on a bad luck streak in my field, and I graduated in public communications. And for the heck of it, I tried, and I applied, and I put all my effort into it, and I got a call back that I had an interview, and I was just so excited. And at that point, after the interview went really well, and I was offered a position to do what I love, and so it was kind of a no-brainer. I told my fiance, I'm like, I'm moving with or without you. And we ended up moving down here, and, we both now work for Lancaster Archery, and I couldn't be happier.
That's awesome. It's a neat story. I think what I like about it is there's a lot of people out there that will be able to relate to at least how you got started, because that's how all of us in some fashion, usually it had something to do with not all, but a parental figure of some kind, whether it's an actual parent or an aunt, uncle or somebody. They would be going to the shop, they would see people shooting, you find an interest. Like for me, I grew up in a small archery shop / just my dad was into the competitive archery stuff, and it just progressed. And like Rob Koffold, for the listeners that maybe aren't familiar, aren't going to put that Lancaster Archery Academy and Lancaster Archery Supplier, not synonymous, but they're all in the same building. Rob was actually the person that sold me my first Olympic recurve. So, and that memory goes back to me shooting in the old shop upstairs with my blue Yamaha 4EX recurve. And to this day, like, I have those memories of growing up, except in my memory is that Lancaster was that shop, that when you went there, and it was just the coolest thing out in the world, you know what I mean? And kids just get hooked on that stuff. They get hooked on seeing it, and look where it's taken you. I think that's awesome. But, so the some of the discussion that we had, and I think the important topics are with Lancaster Archery Academy, and for other parents, or for maybe soon-to-be parents, or just general bow hunters out there that have kids. And a lot of people just simply don't know where to start. Coming from your side, working with the Academy, I know you do a lot of the Explore Archery programs and stuff like that. How does the Billy Joe bow hunter that walks into Lancaster and they have a son or a daughter that sees the kids shooting, what happens? How do they get started? What's the format that you see or utilize or that happens at Lancaster Archery Academy?
Well, the best thing that we can give for advice or suggestion to those just branching into archery is, with classes or having just somebody to teach you and guide you, you're getting started off on the right foot. What we kind of designed our classes off of is we have like a try archery, and that's really cool because you can see if, hey, I want to take more lessons, or this is great, like this gives me a good idea, I just want to have fun recreationally with a recurve bow, and now I know how to do it being safe, and I know how to do it so it's not going to injure my body. For those that, we recommend our experience or our 6-week classes, and everyone's different how they set up their programs. But what we do is we recommend our experience archery class, especially to those that once we start talking to them and we're like, well, what are you interested in? Are you interested in traditional? Are you interested in Olympic recurve, compound? Because if you're going to make a purchase, we want you to be part of that purchase, but we want you to stick with that purchase for a while and for you to be happy with it. So in those 6-week classes, that gives them the opportunity to try all those styles and see what they really like and see what they're comfortable with, but also learn how to use the bows safely and have, good etiquette while you're doing it. So that's something we're really proud of, is that we can offer that. And in a lot of Joe programs across the country, they do get that opportunity to try different types of bows, whether that be recurve or compound, so that they can choose, like, this is something I want to do. We always find that when the child or the adult makes that decision themselves, they're going to stick with it a whole lot longer because they really, truly enjoy it. They're not in the back of their mind like, oh, maybe I should have got that other bow. They might not be as encouraged to practice as much. So that's what we really guide people towards, that is so that they make the right decision and they're happy with it.
Oh, that's good. That's good stuff right there. I think what I've noticed now, I mean, we run, your program is like the it's just so well organized. It's bigger. You have the facility, and where my program is much smaller, a much smaller scale, let's put it that way. And so, our format's kind of similar, but the one thing, and I'd like your opinion on it, what I see more kids gravitate toward compound. Do you see the same thing, or is it really, would you say it's 50-50 as far as like your new shooters that start? Not your team shooters, your like just the new shooters. Do you see that more people gravitate toward compound just because of the ease?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that I would say more of our classes end up having slightly more compound archers than recurve, traditional or Olympic recurve. I'm not sure if it's because the power of the compound, and that it's faster, it gets to the target quicker. They might find it easier because they're not shooting with their fingers per se; they're shooting with the release. That tends to be the feedback that we get is, after they shoot that first arrow out of a compound, they're like, whoa, that was so fast. And, other people then like the more meditative, a lot of customers have told me that the Olympic recurve or the traditional recurve can give them. I'm not saying that the compound doesn't give the same effect. I think everyone looks at it a little bit differently, but also in Pennsylvania, there's a very high concentration of bow hunters,
right.
And I think that also influences the decision too, especially with kids that might come from a family that's involved in hunting as well. They're already familiar with a compound too, so they're very excited to try it when they do. But I think everyone's personality tends to choose, the type of bow that they like.
That's good. I hope some parents from my online archery challenge competition and maybe some of my own parents from my program. I hope people hear that because I think they need to hear that to know that there's some people come in that are just dead set on I want to shoot compound or whatever the circumstances may be, and it's important to hear from someone with your experience to say everyone has their own take on each different discipline. So somebody might really thoroughly enjoy, the tension of shooting a recurve, the difficulty behind it. Some may like the power of a compound. So it's important for people to know, that's really the way that you got to look at it in order to make an educated decision on what direction you want to go. Let's switch gears a little bit and let's go into common, I want to say problems, but maybe hurdles that you see as, and I will absolutely say an elite level coach, because your archery athletes that compete on your team are doing amazing things. What are some of the things throughout that transition from new shooter shooting in JOAD to shooter shooting on the highest national platform, or heck, even the Lancaster Archery Classic? That's definitely one of the top shoots that you could possibly shoot in. What are some of the hurdles that you see with young shooters through those transitions? And definitely, I think the target panic topic, which is one that you and I spoke about not that long ago with my own son in relationship to age and stuff like that. Definitely think that's something we should try to touch on. But what are some of the hurdles that you see as a coach with that transition?
I would probably say practice. I would say practice makes a world of a difference. I'm not saying over practice, but come up with a schedule, come up with a plan, and set goals that are obtainable. This past outdoor season, that transition from indoor to outdoor, all the kids got an opportunity to work with a local mental coach. His name is Jeffrey Sward. He is located here in Lancaster,
mm-hmm.
and he has some phenomenal things that he posts on his website and his blog. But talking to him, it was really cool to learn what competitors go through at a mental game, because at some point it goes from practicing to form to then switching to where it's now mental. And I would say for, transitioning from that recreational semi-competitive to very competitive, that's when the gears switch. But the more practice that you can get in, and the more you enjoy